How's it everyone, Grant here, and welcome back to another camera comparison video. This time I have the OnePlus 5 and the iPhone 7 Plus. Now OnePlus has been heavily marketing the cameras on the OnePlus 5, especially that dual camera setup on the back that is eerily similar to the iPhone 7 Plus, because they both use a telephoto lens for their secondary camera to give you that 2x optical zoom as well as that portrait mode. And yes, OnePlus has named that mode portrait mode just like the iPhone 7 Plus, and that's the camera mode that gives you that blurred background effect while keeping your subject in focus, so that nice bokeh effect that everyone's liking. So can the OnePlus 5 really hang with the iPhone 7 Plus? Maybe you can save yourself a few $100 and pick up a OnePlus 5 instead of an iPhone 7 Plus if cameras are really at the top of your list in a smartphone purchase and you really like what the OnePlus 5 is doing. So like I normally do in these videos, I'll be showing you a bunch of photos and videos in both good light and low light and have you judge for yourself which one you think is better. And with that, let's just get on with the rest of the video. So here's a quick clip to test stabilization from the front-facing cameras. So if you like to use your front-facing camera to take video while you're out and about, maybe you want to vlog with these cameras, this is about what you can expect as far as stabilization from the front-facing camera on each of these phones. Hey everybody, so it is a beautiful afternoon here in the park. As you can see, it's a nice 75 degrees and blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. So perfect day out here to be doing some camera testing. We can test out the 2x digital zoom here on that cell tower, cleverly disguised I might add. So that is the OnePlus 5, iPhone 7 Plus. We can do the zoom all the way in. Now the OnePlus 5 has a 8x digital zoom there, a little shaky. Zoom back out. And the iPhone 7 Plus has a 6x digital zoom, which is equally shaky there. Zoom back out. And we can also test out the focus speeds here. So put an object in front. They're both seeming to focus, and it's hard to get them to both focus at the same time because the cameras aren't exactly in the same position here, the lenses, but focus speed seems to be pretty good in each. So we can also do a stabilization test. I'll walk down these steps here so you can see how the stabilization holds up. They both should be stabilized. Obviously the iPhone 7 Plus has optical image stabilization, while the OnePlus 5 has electronic image stabilization built in. So you can see how hardware versus software stabilization compares in each phone. And here is the similar camera clip here in the park, again, this time being filmed at 1080p 60 frames per second. Just to give you an idea of what the stabilization might look like and the camera quality might look like at 60 frames per second here. We can even test out the zoom to see if they're any more or less stabilized. So that's the 2x zoom on the OnePlus 5 there. And here's the 2x zoom on the iPhone 7 Plus. Zoom in all the way on the iPhone 7 Plus. Again, 6x digital zoom. Still shaky, but it actually looks maybe a little bit less shaky than the 30 frames. We'll do the same thing on the OnePlus 5. Again, 8x digital zoom here. Not as in focus though. Zoom back out. And we'll do a walking stabilization test here again. See how stabilized each video might be compared to each other here. But just take a nice quick stroll in the park. See if you guys can see a difference in the footage between 60 and 30 frames per second at 1080p. And here's one last daytime clip being shot at 4K on both phones. Now I know the OnePlus 5 has received an update to improve or enable electronic stabilization at 4K. This is before that update to give you an idea of what it looked like before the update. And we can go ahead and test the zoom again. So 2x zoom on the OnePlus 5 there. 2x zoom on the iPhone 7 Plus. Zoom back out. We can go to the 8x digital zoom on the OnePlus 5 here. Zoom back out. And the 6x digital zoom on the iPhone 7 Plus. I think the iPhone still looks clearer at 6x zoom. And we'll do a stabilization test again here at 4K. Now again, this is before the OnePlus 5 update that brings electronic stabilization at 4K. So you can see what the OnePlus 5 might look like compared to the iPhone before they enabled that stabilization at 4K. Hey everybody, so I've managed to update the OnePlus 5 with the latest update that brings electronic image stabilization to 4K recording. So I'm just reshooting this scene in the park here so you can see if any improvements have been made to the 4K recording, especially stabilization, and comparing it here with the iPhone 7 Plus. So we'll go ahead and aim at that cleverly disguised cell tower again. Tested 2 times optical zoom there on both devices, and I'll go ahead and zoom in all the way 8 times digitally with the OnePlus 5. Still a bit shaky, maybe a little bit better, maybe it looks a little clearer. You let me know. Zoom it back out. Zoom in with the iPhone 7 Plus, 6 times digital zoom there. A lot clearer looking, at least in the viewfinder. Pull it back out, and we'll go ahead and test some stabilization by walking down the stairs again. So there should be a major improvement here on the OnePlus 5, which is pretty shaky without any stabilization at 4K before. So this should look pretty smooth now that it does have software stabilization here, and hopefully you can see how that compares to the optical hardware stabilization on the iPhone 7 Plus. Hey everyone, so here's a real quick front-facing camera sample in low light. I'll take a little bit of a pan around here. The sun is just setting behind me right there. And I'll just pan around so you can see how it handles maybe some of the changing light here. But one of the things that I noticed, and you probably noticed in the beginning of the video, is that the iPhone has a wider field of view in its front-facing camera, at least for videos. And I didn't know that until I saw the video when I offloaded it. So just note that if you want to fit more people or you want to fit more things into the frame when you're shooting front-facing video, the iPhone might be for you. And as I'm looking in the viewfinder here, at least, I'm not sure whether this is going to look like once I offload it. The iPhone's color reproduction looks to be a lot closer to what I'm actually seeing here around me with my own eyes. Although the OnePlus 5 seems to be brightening up a little bit more, but you tell me what it looks like now that the video has been offloaded. But that's just a quick video sample from the front-facing camera. And here's a quick stabilization test of the front-facing cameras in low light. Just wanted to give you an idea of what stabilization looks like in low light, as sometimes it can distort a little bit more than when you have pretty good light. So if you're taking this out and about at night or in some low light situations and you want to use a front-facing camera to shoot some video when you want to vlog, this is about what you can expect from the front-facing cameras from each of these phones in low light. And here's some rear-facing video in low light. Just want to show you a quick sample here and test out the 2x optical zoom on the OnePlus 5 and on the iPhone 7 there. Pull those back. And as you can see, it's just after sunset, so a pretty good time to test some low light samples here. Pointing up at that light over there. I don't think we're getting any lens flaring. And we can just take a quick walk, see how the stabilization is on each of these devices here. And I'll just walk it up the street a little bit to give you a better feel for how the stabilization compares between the OnePlus 5 and the iPhone 7 Plus here. And we're back again with some low light sample video, this time at 1080p 60 frames per second. Give you a chance to see what low light footage looks like at 60 frames per second here. Pan around. And again, the iPhone definitely has a more accurate color reproduction. The sky up there, the colors there look a lot closer to what I'm seeing here with my own eyes versus what is being shown, at least in the viewfinder, on the OnePlus 5. See some focus hunting going on there in the OnePlus 5. We'll do a stabilization test at 60 frames here. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of how these cameras perform in low light, as well as how they stabilize at 60 frames per second. And lastly, here is a quick low light sample in 4K. The OnePlus 5 has a limit of 10 minutes recording in 4K here. I just want to give you a quick low light sample of what these look like being shot at 4K. And this is before the OnePlus 5 update for 4K image stabilization, but we'll go and try to test the stabilization anyway. Give you a better feel for how the OnePlus 5 is stabilizing at 4K. Before the latest software update that introduces electronic stabilization at 4K, I'll try to get you another sample about that. But here's a quick low light sample in 4K from each of the phones. Hey everybody, so I've just applied the update that brings electronic image stabilization to 4K recording on the OnePlus 5. So I just thought I'd do a quick test here in low light and compare it to the 4K stabilization on the iPhone 7 Plus. So we'll just walk around and I'll try to pan as well so you can see how the stabilization is working as I do that. And I just want to do a quick test here because I saw some footage earlier before the update on the OnePlus 5. So you can kind of compare and see if the footage is any more stable now after the update here in 4K, especially in low light where stabilization tends to struggle a little bit. So just a quick test of the new electronic stabilization on the OnePlus 5 at 4K.